Hello everyone. Okay, so for this project I decided to do the Broughton Tuba Sonata for tuba and piano, and it did not quite fit with sonata form as well as one might have hoped, as is a 20th century tuba sonata that was also converted into a concerto, but this is what I have for you guys. So the original theme is quite rhythmic, and in kind of tuba style it has less melody and is more rather technical, so I'll go ahead and play you that first theme. So it kind of goes on past that point and it develops rhythmically and it goes along like that. And the key is actually in G major, but what it does is it emphasizes the D, and instead of having more of a harmonic lineup where it moves from 5 to 1 and things like that, it more like tonicizes pitch areas. So as it goes on, you'll see that rather than having it always line up with what's in the bass, the piano and the tuba are kind of staggered and they don't always line up the way you would expect in more classical tonal music. But kind of going through here, it begins with just this sort of P0 theme with just the piano kind of doing its thing, and then it goes into this theme, tonicizing 5, and going through, it ends with this run of 16th notes, which ends on a D flat, which, while a half step down from what should technically be considered 5 in the key of G major, sounds much more prominent, even though there is an octave of E flats in the left hand of the piano. So the ear still goes to that, and it sounds like a moment of rest. It sounds like the half cadence that would be the end of the primary material in sonata form. From there, it stays in that D flat. Yeah, it stays in D flat. And so even though you see all these weird, like, thumping eighth notes in the piano, what you hear is that repeated D flat that comes in from the tuba's melody, and it stretches it out and adds attention to that D flat, which makes you feel like that's where you are. So it makes you feel like you're in the dominant key. So it's a modulating transition. So in performance, to bring out that nature of it, to bring out that pitch area over what's already in the piano, you really have to emphasize that D flat. Better than that. But it's da 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 da. And from there it moves into just C. It goes through there, and it keeps going until eventually it starts to harmonically slow down, and it starts to kind of set off the rhythm, ending on an A, which gives us the 5 in the key of the dominant, and now it's not a half step off anymore. So going from there, you have your second half cadence here in the 5 of 5. In this case, it's a 5-7 of 5. And then you have the piano take over a little bit. When it comes back, it's in the key of A, so it's in the secondary key. No, it's not an A. It's still in the secondary key of D now instead of D flat. But it goes through and it does something rather interesting. So traditionally in the EEC deferral, you'll have like a crazy trill or something where it feels like the piece is going to end, and then it's like, no, it's not. It's going to do something else. That happens here, but instead of doing what you do with a traditionally melodic instrument, with the tuba, which has been reduced to harmonies for so long, you see something that is common, which is a descending line, just starts at the E, and then it descends to a B flat, and then it goes down a full octave and into the pedal register, where rather than going down from that dominant feeling down to a tonic note, it intensifies through that pedal and sends you into S1.2, a second half of the S theme that returns to the original material, but after what should have been the end of that sequence. So past that point, it just kind of wraps itself up. It goes into this little codetta, and it just kind of furls off the end, and then it ends on, like, solidly, but on a B flat, which doesn't make sense in the home key, but there's the 20th century for you. So thanks for listening to my analysis of what could be called a sonata form, although it's in a bit of an unusual instrument and an unusual era. And I apologize for my poor demonstration, but I think in the recording you'll hear those emphases and see how that really plays into the way the piece moves through these tonal areas and still finds a way to represent the exposition style of the sonata form. Thanks.